Let me tell you something that I have carried with me for decades, something that was given to me by a man who changed the entire direction of my existence. He said, Jim, if you want things to change, you have to change. If you want things to get better, you have to get better. Now, that sounds simple. It sounds almost too easy to be valuable. But I want you to sit with those words for just a moment, because buried inside that simple statement is the entire architecture of a life well lived. You see, most people are waiting. They are standing at the bus stop of life, waiting for the vehicle of opportunity to pull up and open its doors. And they wait, and they wait. And the extraordinary tragedy is that the vehicle is never coming, not for the person who simply waits. That vehicle only arrives for the person who builds the road. And that is what we are going to discuss today. Not wishes, not fantasies, not the vague and comfortable idea that someday things will improve on their own through some mysterious force of cosmic sympathy. We are going to talk about a plan, a real, deliberate, structured, 12-month plan that has the power to completely redesign your life from the foundation upward. 1 year, 12 months, 365 days. Now I want you to consider that number carefully because I find it remarkable. Most people will take those 365 days and do with them precisely what they did with the 365 days before and the 365 days before that. Same habits, same associations, same thoughts at 6 in the morning, same excuses at 9 in the evening, same frustrations carried forward like heavy luggage from one calendar to the next. And then they wonder, with genuine bewilderment, why the years of their life look so identical. The calendar changes, but the person does not. And when the person does not change, the results cannot change. But here is what I know with absolute certainty after more than 4 decades of studying human achievement and human failure. 1 committed year, approached with intention and a written strategy, is enough time to utterly transform your finances, your health, your relationships, your skill set, and your fundamental identity. Not a little improvement, not marginal progress, not the kind of slight uptick that requires a microscope to detect. Complete transformation. I have watched it happen with my own eyes more times than I can count. I have experienced it in my own life, coming from a place of genuine poverty and limitation to a life of abundance and contribution. And I want to offer that same possibility to every single person who is willing to hear what I am about to say and apply it without reservation. Let us begin at the very beginning, because that is the only honest place to start. The first thing you must do before any plan can take root is conduct an honest assessment of where you currently stand. Now, this is the step that most people want to skip, and I understand the impulse. Looking at your current reality with clear eyes, without defense or excuse or rationalization, is uncomfortable. It can be genuinely painful. But I will tell you this, the pain of honest assessment is brief, and the wisdom it produces lasts a lifetime. The pain of dishonest comfort, on the other hand, is stretched across years, decade after decade of quietly knowing you are capable of more and doing nothing about it. That particular pain is the worst kind, because it is administered in small, almost imperceptible doses that accumulate until one day you look at the totality of your life and feel the full weight of what might have been. So sit down with a blank piece of paper. And I mean a physical piece of paper, not a screen, because there is something irreplaceable about the act of writing by hand that a keyboard cannot replicate. The hand connected to the page creates a different kind of thinking. And on that paper, I want you to write down your current financial position with complete transparency. What do you earn? What do you owe? What do you own of genuine value? What does your bank account reveal about your habits and priorities? Because your bank account is not just a number. It is a report card on your financial disciplines, your relationship with money, and the degree to which you have been intentional about your economic life. Write all of it down without flinching and without the comforting editorial revisions we so naturally apply to unflattering truths. Then write down your health. Not the health you had at 25 or the health you intend to have someday, but the health you have today. What does the mirror show you when you look without pulling your stomach in and standing at a flattering angle? What does your energy level at 3 in the afternoon tell you about how you are treating the vehicle of your ambitions? How well do you sleep? How freely can you move? What physical limitations have you allowed to accumulate simply through neglect? Write it all down. Then turn your attention to your relationships and associations. Your 5 closest people, as I mentioned, Because Mr. Schoaf taught me early, and the teaching has proven true 1,000 times over, that you become the combined average of the people you spend the most time with. Who are those people? Are they ambitious or resigned? Do they hold you accountable or enable your comfortable mediocrity? Do they challenge your thinking or simply confirm what you already believe? Write their names down and be honest about what each relationship produces in you. And finally, examine your skills with the same unsparing eye. What are you genuinely capable of today? What value do you currently bring to the marketplace? Because the marketplace, I assure you, is ruthlessly honest about that question even when we prefer not to be. It does not pay you for your potential or your intentions or your history of almost efforts. It pays you for actual, demonstrable, consistent value delivered today. That is the standard, and it is a fair one. This inventory, this complete and unflinching picture of your present reality, is the baseline from which your one-year transformation begins. Without it, you are navigating without knowing your starting coordinates. And no map in the world can help you find your destination if you do not know where on the territory you currently stand. Now, once you have that honest picture in front of you, the next essential step is to define with absolute clarity where you intend to be 12 months from today. And I want to be precise about this, because I have found over many years of observation that most people are remarkably, almost willfully vague when it comes to articulating their desires. They want to be better off. They want to do well. They want to be healthier and earn more and improve their relationships. And those statements are essentially worthless as targets, not because the desires behind them are unworthy, but because you cannot hit a target you cannot clearly see, and you certainly cannot hit a target you have never precisely defined. So what specifically does your life look like on this exact date, 1 year from now? What is the precise figure in your savings account? What is the exact number on the scale, or the specific distance you can run without stopping? What particular skill have you taken from ignorance to genuine mastery? What specific relationship has been built, repaired, or deepened? Write those answers with the same precision a surgeon uses when planning a complex procedure. Not, I want to be in better shape. Write the specific pounds, the particular physical capacity, the concrete and measurable evidence of physical improvement. Not, I want to earn more money. Write the exact annual figure, the specific monthly target that adds up to that annual number. Because here is what specificity does that vagueness cannot. It activates your creative intelligence in a way that vague wishes never can. The moment you commit to a concrete target, your mind, which is the most sophisticated and powerful goal-seeking mechanism ever created in the history of the universe, begins working around the clock through both conscious and unconscious processing to identify pathways toward that target. It notices relevant information that your vague wishes would have simply walked past. It generates solutions that your comfort with ambiguity would have never required it to produce. Vague desires produce vague efforts. Precise goals produce precise action. And precise, sustained action produces extraordinary results. With your honest assessment on one side of the equation and your precise 12-month vision on the other, you now possess the two essential coordinates. You know where you are standing today, and you know exactly where you are determined to be standing 12 months from now. What you need next is the bridge between those 2 points, and that bridge is built one daily discipline at a time. I want to talk to you about the concept of daily disciplines, because I believe it is the most misunderstood concept in the entire subject of personal achievement. People hear the word discipline, and they immediately associate it with restriction, with denial, with suffering, as though the disciplined life is a life of constant sacrifice and joyless effort, a grim march through duty and obligation. But I would offer you a completely different interpretation. Discipline is simply the bridge between your intentions and your results. It is the consistent practice of doing what you have decided to do on the schedule you have committed to, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Nothing more, nothing less. It is not a punishment. It is not a form of self-denial. It is the mechanism by which decisions become reality. Because here is the brutal and important truth about feelings. Feelings are unreliable narrators of what you should do. Your feelings in the early morning will tell you to stay in bed. Your feelings after a long day will tell you there is no energy remaining for study or exercise or the review of your plan. Your feelings on a gray and uninspiring Wednesday will convince you that skipping one session, one page, 1 hour of disciplined effort is entirely reasonable and will have no meaningful consequence. And here is the particularly seductive part of that lie. It feels true in the moment. The one skipped session feels genuinely inconsequential. But it is not the single session that matters. It is the pattern that the single session represents. Every time you allow feelings to override your committed schedule, you strengthen the habit of giving feelings that authority. And the habit of giving your feelings authority over your commitments is the single most reliable predictor of a life of permanent almost achievement. Within the framework of a one-year success plan, I recommend organizing your disciplines into 4 domains, because lasting transformation requires simultaneous development across multiple areas of life. Concentrating exclusively on one domain while neglecting the others is like trying to build a sturdy table with only 2 legs. You can be quite earnest about the effort, but the table simply will not stand. The 4 domains are your economic life, your physical life, your mental life, and your relationship life. Each requires specific, daily, non-negotiable commitments within your 12-month architecture. Let us spend some time with the economic domain, because I have never been comfortable pretending that money is an unimportant subject. Money is not everything, certainly. I have known wealthy people who were profoundly impoverished in the ways that matter most. But money funds everything. It funds your children's possibilities and your family's security. It funds your capacity to be generous at a level that makes a genuine difference. It funds your freedom to spend the extraordinary gift of your time in accordance with your values rather than your obligations. The person who dismisses the importance of money is usually speaking from a position of either having always had it or of having never genuinely faced its absence. When you face its absence, the subject becomes considerably more interesting. For your one-year economic plan, commit to 3 specific practices. The first is the active, daily expansion of your income-producing skills, because income follows value in this world without exception. The marketplace does not pay you for your needs, however legitimate and pressing they may be. It does not increase your compensation because your expenses have increased, or because you have been with the company a long time, or because you feel genuinely deserving of more. The marketplace pays you for the value you deliver to it, consistently and reliably. So ask yourself the critical question: what specific skill, if developed to a genuine level of mastery over the next 12 months, would make you considerably more valuable? Is it the ability to communicate complex ideas with clarity and persuasion? Is it a technical competency in your particular field? Is it financial intelligence? Is it the ability to lead people effectively toward a shared goal? Identify the skill with specificity, design a daily practice to develop it, and commit to that practice without negotiation. The second economic practice is the discipline of saving, particularly setting aside a meaningful portion of every dollar you earn before you spend any of it. The specific percentage matters less than the consistency of the practice, though I recommend 10% as the minimum. And before the objections begin, I have heard them all. Too many obligations. Not enough income. The timing is not right. Here is my response to those objections. If your take-home income were reduced by 10% tomorrow through a change beyond your control, you would adapt. You would find a way to manage on the remainder, because that would be your new reality. The discipline of saving is simply imposing that adaptation voluntarily before circumstances force a far more uncomfortable version of it. Every dollar you consistently save and invest, compounded over time, becomes a soldier working on your behalf 24 hours a day. Build that army deliberately. The third economic practice is education, the ongoing, deliberate study of how money actually works. Not just how to earn it, but how to keep it, how to grow it, how to protect it. The difference between an asset and a liability. The mechanics of compound interest working in your favor versus working against you. The principles of value creation versus the habit of value consumption. 1 year of dedicated economic self-education, pursued with the same seriousness you would bring to any formal course of study, will permanently alter your relationship with money. Now let us address the physical domain, because your body is the instrument through which every single ambition must be expressed. Every goal you have set, every relationship you want to build, every contribution you want to make to the world, all of it must pass through the vehicle of your physical body. And yet I observe that most people treat their body with considerably less deliberate care than they extend to far less consequential possessions. They will service their automobile on schedule and monitor their electronic devices carefully, but their body, the vastly more complex and completely irreplaceable instrument of every experience they will ever have, receives processed food, inadequate rest, minimal intentional movement, and a steady supply of stimulants and sedatives to manage the energy deficit that accumulated neglect produces. Your physical plan for the year does not require an advanced degree in nutrition science or a facility full of expensive equipment. It requires 3 commitments maintained with consistency. First, move your body deliberately every single day. The specific form of movement matters considerably less than the daily, unbroken consistency of the practice. Walking, running, resistance training, swimming, cycling. Select what you will genuinely continue. The habit of daily physical activity reshapes not only your body but your psychology, your confidence, your capacity for discipline in every other domain of life. There is a remarkable carryover effect from physical discipline to every other area of endeavor. The person who keeps their commitment to daily physical movement finds it progressively easier to keep their other commitments as well. Second, attend carefully and consistently to what you consume. Food is not merely fuel in a mechanical sense. It is biological information, instruction delivered to your cells about what to construct, how to repair, how to function. Processed, chemically altered, nutritionally depleted food sends confused and contradictory instructions. Whole, varied, minimally processed food sends clear and coherent ones. You do not need a perfect dietary regimen, and the pursuit of perfection in this area often becomes a source of failure rather than a support for success. You need a predominantly intelligent nutritional practice, maintained consistently over time. The person who eats well 80% of the time across an entire year will experience a physical transformation that will astonish them. Third, defend your sleep with genuine commitment. I use the word defend deliberately and precisely, because in a cultural environment that conflates busyness with virtue and measures dedication by hours of sleep sacrificed, the protection of adequate rest requires active resistance. But the research has always supported what the wisest teachers have always known. Sleep is the period during which your body conducts its most essential maintenance. Your brain consolidates the learning of the day, processes unresolved emotional material, and clears the metabolic waste that accumulates during waking hours. Your hormones reset. Your immune system recharges. Your capacity for clear thinking, emotional regulation, creative problem solving, and sustained effort the following day is built during the hours of sleep the night before. Protect those hours as carefully as you would protect any other investment. The mental domain is the third area requiring your deliberate attention, and I would argue that it is the most fundamental of all 4, because every result in your life begins as a thought somewhere. The quality of your thinking determines the quality of your decisions. The quality of your decisions determines the quality of your actions. The quality of your actions determines the quality of your outcomes. And the quality of your outcomes, accumulated over years and decades, constitutes the quality of your life. If you want different outcomes, genuinely different outcomes, not marginally adjusted versions of the same results, you must cultivate genuinely different thinking. And the most reliable, time-tested method for cultivating different thinking is to consistently and deliberately feed your mind with the ideas, perspectives, and accumulated wisdom of people who have already achieved what you are working to achieve. Reading is the discipline I return to with the greatest conviction when this subject arises, because in all my years of studying achievement and achievement-oriented people, I have found no more efficient or democratically available method for installing new mental frameworks than the consistent habit of reading significant books. Consider what a book actually represents. Every book written by a genuine thinker, a successful entrepreneur, a master of human psychology, a student of history, a practitioner of any craft or science, represents years, sometimes decades, of accumulated experience and hard-won insight, distilled and organized and made available to you for a modest investment of money and time. Think about what that means. You can spend 3 hours with the condensed wisdom of someone who spent 30 years learning what you need to know. There is no more remarkable bargain available anywhere. The person who reads one meaningful book per week for an entire year will, at the end of those 12 months, have absorbed approximately 50 bodies of knowledge and perspective that they did not possess at the beginning. Compare that individual, their thinking, their vocabulary, their understanding of human nature and economic principle and historical precedent, to the person who spent those same hours in passive consumption of entertainment. Compare them at the end of the year. The divergence will be profound and unmistakable. And here's the extraordinary thing about that divergence. It will continue to grow because knowledge compounds. Each new idea connects with and amplifies the ideas already installed, and the network of understanding becomes progressively more powerful and useful with each addition. Beyond reading, your mental plan must include the deliberate practice of protecting what enters your mind. You must stand guard at the entrance to your own thinking with vigilance and selectivity. Most people allow any thought, any fear, any cynical narrative, any discouraging message to walk through the door of their mind without challenge or examination. They expose themselves to relentless streams of anxious news, competitive social display, manufactured outrage, and the background noise of other people's unresolved fears. And then they wonder why their inner world feels cluttered and their confidence feels fragile, and their sense of possibility feels increasingly narrow. Your mind produces in the direction of what it is regularly fed. Feed it excellence. Feed it possibility. Feed it the proven records of human achievement. Daily journaling is a practice I recommend without reservation, not because the words you write have magical properties, but because the act of writing forces precision in thinking that casual reflection cannot produce. When you write about your goals, you must articulate them clearly enough to put them into words. When you write about your challenges, you must organize your thinking about them well enough to describe them coherently. When you write about your progress, you create a record that combats the natural human tendency towards selective memory, which recalls failures more readily than advances. Review your journal regularly, and you will see your own growth in ways that day-to-day experience obscures. The fourth domain, and the one that perhaps produces the most immediate and palpable change in the texture of daily life, is the relationship domain. We are not solitary creatures built for isolated achievement. We are social beings whose growth is inextricably connected to the people around us, who challenge us and encourage us and call us forward into our better selves, or who do not. Your relationships are not incidental to your success. They are constitutive of it. The environment created by your closest associations is the water in which you swim, and the quality of that water determines the possibilities available to you in ways both obvious and invisible. Within your one-year plan, make deliberate moves regarding your associations that you have perhaps been postponing out of comfort or obligation or the vague sense that changing your circle would be a kind of betrayal. It is not betrayal to grow. It is not abandonment to seek the company of people whose standards and habits and vision are more aligned with the future you are building. It is, in fact, the most honest thing you can do, both for yourself and eventually for the people you leave behind, because your own growth and success creates a new standard in your community that others may choose to aspire to. Seek out people who are already living the life you are committed to building. Find people whose financial discipline you admire and observe how they think and decide. Find people whose physical vitality and energy level set a standard that makes your current habits look improvable. Find people whose intellectual engagement and curiosity make you want to read more, think more carefully, question your own assumptions more rigorously. These relationships will create productive discomfort, the kind that accelerates your growth by constantly revealing the gap between where you are and where you are capable of being. Simultaneously, develop your capacity to add genuine value to every relationship you enter. The surest path to attracting exceptional people into your circle is to become the kind of person that exceptional people are naturally drawn toward. Develop your listening, not the polite, waiting to talk listening of someone who is simply marking time until they can speak, but the deep, curious, fully present listening that makes the person speaking feel genuinely understood. This is rare. It is also extraordinarily powerful. Develop your ability to encourage specifically and sincerely, to notice what is admirable in the people around you and name it in a way that lands with authenticity rather than flattery. Develop your habit of generous contribution, of bringing more to every interaction than you take from it. The person who operates from this posture in all their relationships creates a gravitational field that draws quality human beings to them consistently. Now I want to address something that I consider absolutely essential to the success of any 12-month transformation plan, and it is the practice of consistent measurement and honest accountability. Because here is a reality I have observed without a single exception across many years of working with people who are serious about changing their lives. The things that get measured get managed, and the things that get managed improve. Without measurement, your plan is not truly a plan. It is a collection of intentions organized into the appearance of a plan. And intentions without measurement are the most common raw material from which regret is eventually constructed. I recommend a weekly review practice, conducted at the same schedule every week without negotiation or exception. Sit down with your written plan and your four-domain commitments, and conduct an honest examination of the week just completed. Where did you honor your commitments? Where did you fall short? When you fell short, what was the actual mechanism? Was it a failure of planning, a failure of environment, a failure of will in a specific circumstance? And critically, what specific, concrete adjustment will you make in the coming week to address what the previous week revealed? Not a vague resolution to do better. A specific, actionable modification to your approach or your environment or your schedule that will produce a different result. This weekly practice of honest accounting transforms your plan from a static document you consult occasionally into a living system that responds to reality and continuously refines itself. It also creates something of profound psychological value, a record of your own consistency and growth that becomes increasingly motivating as the weeks accumulate. By month 4 or 5, when you review your journal and see the evidence of 30 or 40 consecutive weeks of deliberate effort, the identity shift has begun. You no longer think of yourself as someone trying to build better habits. You think of yourself as someone who has better habits. That identity shift is among the most powerful forces in human development. I want to offer you a perspective on the pace of progress that may challenge how you currently think about the relationship between effort and result. Most people evaluate their progress by looking for dramatic, visible change on a short timeline. They want the financial evidence to appear within a few weeks of new economic disciplines. They want the physical transformation to be obvious after a month of better choices. They want the skill to feel dramatically sharper after a few sessions of practice. And when the dramatic change does not arrive on the timeline their impatience has projected, they conclude that the efforts are not producing results. They abandon the approach. They return to previous habits. They tell themselves the honest story of their commitment in terms of weeks rather than months, and wonder why the results are proportionally modest. But compound development does not operate on that timeline. It operates on the rhythm of nature, not the rhythm of impatience. Consider a seed. In the period immediately following planting, nothing visible happens. Below the surface, profound change is occurring. The seed is breaking down. The root is reaching. The first architecture of the plant is forming. But on the surface, nothing. To the observer who requires immediate visible evidence, it appears that nothing is happening and that the planting has failed. But the patient gardener understands that the surface stillness is not evidence of failure. It is the necessary precondition of the breakthrough that is coming. Your first 3 months of new disciplines will feel, at times, like nothing is happening. The scale will not have moved as dramatically as you wished. The bank account will show modest progress, not transformation. Your skill will feel only marginally improved from where it started. But below the surface of visible results, the real change is occurring. Neural pathways are being constructed and reinforced. Habits are beginning to take root. Your identity is quietly beginning to reorganize itself around the evidence of your consistent behavior. The compound curve has not yet become visible, but it is being built, one daily deposit at a time. Stay with it, not blindly. Continue to review, continue to adjust, continue to learn from what the results are telling you. But do not abandon your fundamental commitments because the results have not yet compounded into visibility. The harvest does not come at the planting. It comes long after the patient work of tending and watering and protecting and waiting. And when it does come, it arrives with an abundance that makes the entire period of invisible effort seem remarkably brief in comparison. I want to speak for a moment about the subject of failure because every honest 12-month plan must reckon with it. Not the catastrophic, permanent failure of giving up entirely. I have already addressed that, and I trust you understand my position on abandonment. I am talking about the smaller, more frequent failures that are woven into every genuine growth process. The week you missed your reading, the morning you skipped your exercise, the conversation you avoided when you should have leaned into it, the financial commitment you broke for a purchase that felt justifiable at the time. These small failures will happen. They are not evidence that you are incapable of change, or that the plan is not working, or that you are somehow constitutionally unsuited to the disciplined life. They are evidence that you are a human being engaged in the genuinely difficult work of self-reconstruction. And the way you respond to those small failures is itself one of the most important disciplines of the entire plan. Most people respond to a failure by either catastrophizing it, treating the missed week as evidence that the entire endeavor is compromised, or by minimizing it so thoroughly that they extract no learning from it at all. Neither response serves you. The response that serves you is honest, undefensive examination. What happened? What created the gap between my intention and my action? What specific change will I make so that the same gap does not reappear under similar circumstances? The person who learns from every small failure eventually builds a plan so well fitted to their actual nature, their genuine strengths, and their real vulnerabilities, that the failures become progressively less frequent. Not because they have achieved some impossible perfection, but because they have accumulated enough self-knowledge to design an approach that works for who they actually are rather than who they imagine themselves to be in their most optimistic moments. I also want to address the subject of environment, because it is significantly underestimated as a determinant of sustained behavior. Your environment is constantly working either for you or against you, and most people have simply never thought deliberately about which of those is currently true. The person who keeps unhealthy food in visible locations and then relies entirely on willpower to avoid it has created an environment that works against their intentions. The person who rearranges their workspace so that the books they intend to read are prominently placed and the distractions are inconvenient has created an environment that works in their favor. The person who prepares their workout clothes the night before and places them where they will be seen first thing in the morning has eliminated one of the most common friction points in the exercise habit. Environment design is one of the most powerful and underutilized tools in personal transformation. In your one-year plan, audit your surroundings deliberately. Audit your home. Does it contain the tools and materials that support your goals, arranged in a way that makes good choices the natural and easy choices? Audit your workspace. Does it invite focused, productive effort, or does it invite distraction and the endless consumption of other people's priorities? Audit your digital environment, because that environment is now as real and consequential as the physical one. What does your phone's home screen invite you to do first when you open it? Does it pull you toward your goals or away from them? Make changes, not theoretical changes you intend to make someday. Actual, physical, immediate changes that redesign your surroundings to work in alignment with your 12-month commitments. And one more thought before I move to my closing, because it is a thought I consider essential and I would be remiss to leave the platform without offering it. Do not travel this year alone. Find at least one other person, ideally 2 or 3, who share your commitment to genuine self-improvement and who will agree to hold you accountable in a specific, structured way. Not someone who will offer you sympathy when you fall short. Sympathy is widely available and largely unhelpful in the context of personal development. Find someone who will ask you the hard questions, who will look at your weekly report with genuine attention and ask why the gaps exist, who will celebrate your progress with enough enthusiasm to reinforce the behaviors that produced it, who will tell you the truth about what they observe in you, even when the truth is temporarily uncomfortable. That kind of relationship, built on mutual commitment to growth and genuine accountability, is worth more to your 12-month transformation than any course, any book, or any strategy one could recommend. Find it, build it, protect it. There is one final dimension of the one-year success plan that I must address before closing, and it is the dimension that ultimately determines whether all the strategies and disciplines and measurements produce their fullest potential result. That dimension is purpose. Because a plan built solely on the pursuit of external achievements, more money, a different body, an expanded skill portfolio, while valuable, is not self-sustaining over the inevitable difficult periods that every genuine transformation passes through. External results provide motivation, but they do not provide the deep, weather-resistant, Inexhaustible fuel that sustains effort when results are delayed and the path is harder than you anticipated. That fuel comes from purpose, from the clear and felt understanding of precisely why you are doing what you are doing, at a level of significance that transcends the achievement itself. Why do you want the financial improvement? Not the surface answer, but the real one beneath it. Is it so that your children grow up with a fundamentally different relationship with security and possibility than the one you experienced? Is it so that you can fund a specific contribution to your community or your cause? Is it so that you can look at yourself at 70 with the quiet satisfaction of knowing you handled your economic life with intelligence and discipline? Find a real answer. Write it at the top of your plan where you will see it on the mornings when the plan feels demanding and the results feel distant. Why do you want the physical transformation? Is it to be genuinely, energetically, unreservedly present with the people you love without the limitation of a body you have neglected? Is it to demonstrate to yourself, finally and conclusively, that you are capable of mastery in an area where you have previously accepted comfortable defeat? Find the why that is larger than the inconvenience of any individual morning. Let it become the anchor of your entire effort. Why do you want the mental development? Is it to become the kind of thinker who adds genuine insight to every conversation, who sees what others miss because they have not done the reading? Is it to eventually produce something, a business, a book, a body of work, a community that reflects the depth and quality of a mind that has been carefully cultivated? Is it to model for your children or your community what a committed intellectual life actually looks like in practice? Find the answer. Here is what I have found. After a lifetime of studying what separates those who genuinely transform from those who perpetually intend to. Strategies matter enormously. Habits matter. Associations matter. Knowledge and measurement and accountability all matter. But underneath all of those practical elements, the single most powerful driver of genuine, lasting transformation is the compelling reason. The why that is larger than the inconvenience of any given morning, larger than the discouragement of any given setback, larger than the comfort of any given compromise. When the reason is powerful enough and vivid enough and personal enough, the methods arrange themselves. The knowledge seeks itself. The habits build themselves. The associations find themselves. You have a year. 365 mornings, each one a fresh and complete opportunity to make deposits into the future you are constructing with the choices of your present. Some of those mornings you will feel inspired and clear and energized, grateful for the direction you have chosen and excited by the evidence of your progress. Spend those mornings well, but do not be deceived into thinking that inspiration is what drives transformation. It is a welcome visitor, but an unreliable employee. Other mornings, and there will be many of them, you will feel doubtful and tired and uncertain whether the efforts are accumulating into anything of genuine consequence. Spend those mornings even better, because the quality of the person you are building is determined not by what you do when circumstances are favorable, but by what you do when they are not. Start today, and when I say today, I mean this. Do not wait for Monday. Do not wait for the first of the month. Do not wait for the beginning of a new year or the resolution of some current complication that seems to argue for delay. The person who waits for perfect conditions before beginning the work of their own transformation will wait a lifetime, because perfect conditions are not a prerequisite for beginning. They are the result of beginning. The conditions improve as the person improves. That is how it works. That is how it has always worked. Decide today. Begin today. Commit today to the extraordinary and entirely achievable proposition that 12 months of deliberate, disciplined, purposeful effort, applied consistently and reviewed honestly across the 4 domains of your economic, physical, mental, and relationship life, will produce a version of yourself so different from the person you are today that you will have difficulty fully comprehending how much distance has been covered. I want to close with something I believe with everything I have, the plan I have described. The honest self-assessment, the precisely defined goals, the domain-specific daily disciplines, the consistent weekly accountability, the patient endurance through the long middle period of invisible compound development, the deep and sustaining why. This plan is not a secret. Its elements have been understood and practiced by achievers throughout the full recorded span of human history. The ancient teachers articulated versions of it. The great philosophers and entrepreneurs and artists and leaders of every era practiced versions of it. The knowledge has always been available to any person willing to seek it out. What has always been the scarce resource? The actual limiting factor that separates the lives of extraordinary achievement from the lives of quiet resignation is not the knowledge. It is the decision to apply it, the commitment to actually do it, the discipline to continue it when the initial enthusiasm has worn away and only character and conviction remain. That decision, that commitment, that sustained discipline, they belong entirely to you. No teacher can generate them in you. No book can install them. No favorable set of circumstances can substitute for them. They are yours to exercise or to withhold, morning after morning, choice after choice, day after day. And every single morning of the next 365, when the alarm sounds and the new day begins, you will stand once again at the fundamental crossroads. The crossroads between the life you have been living and the life you are capable of building. Between the comfortable familiar and the demanding extraordinary. Between who you have been and who you have decided to become. Make the choice you will be proud of. Make it today. Make it tomorrow. Make it on every ordinary Wednesday when no one is watching and nothing external is demanding it of you. Make it in the small moments that accumulate, invisibly and then undeniably, into the complete transformation of a human life. Your life, assembled day by day from the decisions and disciplines and attitudes of ordinary, unremarkable mornings, is the most important project you will ever undertake. Give it the full measure of your commitment. Give it the depth of your purpose. Give it the one remarkable year it is asking of you. I promise you this, and I make that promise with confidence earned through long and careful observation of what human beings are genuinely capable of when they commit fully and proceed with both discipline and wisdom. You will not recognize your life on the other side of this year. Not primarily because the world around you will have changed, though it will have changed in response to the changed person navigating it, but because you will have changed. At the level of habit, at the level of skill, at the level of association, at the level of belief about what is possible, at the very level of identity, you will have changed. And when you change at that depth, everything changes with you. That is the extraordinary, irreversible, magnificent promise of a single fully committed year. Thank you.